And I want to talk to you today about the promise of potential. The promise of potential. Potential is defined as a latent ability. Earlier this week, a friend of mine and his wife had a baby girl. And I was up at the hospital yesterday. And I was looking at the little girl, and they had her in an incubator. And as I looked at her, I understood in a different way the idea of potential. Because she had legs and she had 2 little feet, but she can't walk. She had a throat and she had a mouth and she had a tongue, but she can't talk. She has the potential to walk. She has the potential to talk. And many of you today, when you look at your life and you look at where you're going and what you're doing and what you want, it seems sometimes that your vision, I understand that you did a visioning exercise yesterday, that your vision and your mission is so far away, but you have potential. And so what I'd like to do to talk to you today is to deal with 3 things. If you're going to understand the potential that you have and realize it, there's 4 things I'd like to leave you with, 4 thoughts. One, I'd like you to come to know and to understand that dreams do come true. Sometimes we look at dreamers, whether it's Joseph in the Old Testament or whether it's Kennedy who that said that one day we would place a man on the moon, or whether it's Martin Luther King Jr. that said, I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners, whatever your dream is, sometimes people will look at you and say, that's just a dreamer. But I'm here to tell you today, and I'll show you how the dreams do come true. Second, I'd like to talk to you about the reality that if you have a destiny, it will demand discipline. Dreams don't come true just because you want them. Dreams come true because you put feet and arms and effort to them and you make them happen. Destiny requires discipline. Third, I'd like to talk to you about the fact that self-efficacy requires that you define it. I'm going to tell you 2 stories as we go through these. I'm going to tell you the story that will show you how dreams come true, and I'll tell you a story about self-efficacy. And last but not least, I'd like to talk to you about the fact that if you are willing to, you can define, you can determine, and you can declare your destiny. You can define, you can determine, and you must declare your destiny. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I'd like to talk to you about a story. This is a true story. Story about a lady I met. Her name is Roya. Now, I want you to imagine with me, how many of you can remember being 4 years of age? Some of you are too old to remember 4 years of age. All right, 4 years of age. At 4 years of age, that's an innocent age. Right? At 4 years of age, you don't have any real issues. You should not have issues at 4 years of age. Maybe what you're going to eat for breakfast, maybe, I don't know, what toy you're going to play with, but 4-year-olds, that's an innocent age. But I want you to imagine with me a 4-year-old being grabbed by her mother and 2 little brothers, one little sister, and her mother is running them out of the house. And as they're running out of the house under the cover of midnight, you hear this loud sound like 100,000 bumblebees, and occasionally there is an interruption in the sound where the earth shakes and you don't know what's happening, but you know it's bad. And as you're running up this narrow dirt road, you see this 3-year-old little boy, and he's tugging at the hand of his mother. Wake up, Mommy, wake up. The mother's dead. And this 4-year-old little child looks at the little boy and looks at the mother, and she wonders, who'll take care of that little boy? Who'll take care of me? And her mother runs them to the edges of the city, and as they get to the edges of the city, this 4-year-old little girl sees piles of bodies that would later be dumped into a mass grave and burned. You see, the Iran-Iraq war had started, and she lived in Iran. Fast forward 3 years later, she is now in a house and the war has left their part of the country, and she has pictures in her bedroom. One of the pictures in this little Iranian girl's bedroom is of Michael Jackson. She has another picture of Tina Turner. And then she has a picture of the galaxy. You see, the war has gone, and she still has memories of the war. They still haunt her, but she also has pictures. And when she looks at the picture of the galaxy, she sees stars. And somehow at 7 years of age, she comes to know and understand that stars don't get told what to do. They have a special kind of autonomy. They shine, and the world can see them. And she wonders somehow if one day, somehow, somewhere, she could become a star, and she starts to dream. And this little Iranian girl dreams of one day coming to America. And she tells her parents, one day, I'm going to move to America, and I'm going to go to an American college, and I'm going to graduate, and I'm going to have a job, and I'm going to be free like those stars. Nobody will tell me what to do, because in Iran, if you are born female, somebody tells you when to eat, somebody tells you when to get married, somebody tells you what your life story will be. Somebody controls your destiny. Your potential is not your own. And so she shares this dream, and people laugh at her because that's not the reality of Iranian little girls. She's a beautiful woman, and so by the age of 15, her mother and father declare, you will get married. They didn't want anybody to steal her away. You will get married, and she's 15, and she looks at her husband, and she tells him, I don't care how long we're married. I don't care how many children we have. I will one day leave you. Now you have to understand that in Iran, that is capital offense material right there. You could be stoned immediately, and people have been stoned immediately for saying such words. I will leave you. It takes her 7 years, and she plans, and she plots, and she schemes. And she saves enough money for a smuggler to take her and now her 2 little boys out of the country. And they end up in Germany, because Germany was a place where a lot of Iranians went for political asylum. But the problem now is that there have been so many people that have come to Germany and then gone back to Iran, and then come to Germany and then go back to Iran. They're beginning to be suspicious of people that say, I need political asylum. Maybe you just want a vacation. Maybe this isn't that serious. And so they tell her, we're going to send you back to Iran, but she knows the moment she steps foot on Iranian soil, she's a dead woman. And so she decides to fight. You see, in order for them to send her back to Iran, they have to put a scarf on her head. Her head has to be covered for the passport picture. And she decides, this is my way out. And so when the German soldiers come to get her, to take her passport picture, there's a fight. She's in the police headquarters, and for 3 hours, they fight. Her shoulder is separated. Her face is bruised. And they finally think what they have is a picture. They take her back to her apartment, and they say, wait for deportation. And then she goes into hiding for 4 months when there is no galaxy that she can see. There are no stars that she can see. There is no sunshine. But in that 4-month period, see, dreams do come true. There's a book called The Secret that says that whatever you are seeking in life is seeking you. And sometimes if we can just garner our thoughts to focus on what we want, sometimes things come into place, and she somehow gets international attention. And newspapers are writing about her story. And lawyers are calling, volunteering their help. To make a long story short, at the age of 22, she's in an airplane, and she sees, lo and behold, beneath the airplane, the Statue of Liberty. I could tell you much more about the story of this lady. Her life hasn't been easy. But I'll tell you this. In September of 2014, this year, she graduated from Franklin University. Dreams do come true. And I'm going to ask her to stand. Gloria, could you stand?